Welcome to a tutorial on how to do bridge pose. Bridge pose is a back bend that's available for most folks in one form or another. It does require that you be able to come down to the ground, although you could most likely do this in your bed or on a sofa as long as it's wide enough for you. So here we go. We start by lying down on our backs. I always like to have something underneath my head. It has absolutely nothing to do with bridge pose. And then we bend our knees and place our feet on the mat. And from here, we're going to have our shoulders, our neck, nice and relaxed. Shoulders away from the ears here. And then you're going to have your feet about hip-width distance apart, at least to start. You're going to press into those feet and lift your hips, your pelvis off the ground. Some folks are going to come here. Some folks are going to come a lot higher. Some folks might not come up at all, and that's fine as well. It's doing what your body can do. So the first few times you do that, noticing how that feels for your back. When you lift up, if you feel anything that feels like it's compressed or pinchy or just not quite right, lower back down, and then you experiment with the position of your feet. You might take your feet a little bit wider, maybe a little bit closer. Maybe you walk your feet a little bit further away from your body or a little closer to your body. Some folks benefit from having a block or a book or a pillow to squeeze between their knees or their thighs. So experiment here until you find what feels good for your back. And then in my private sessions, in my classes, when I offer bridge pose, we usually build on it. So we'll start with a flowing bridge. Arms at the side, along the sides, shoulder blades connected to the ground, shoulders away from the ears, and we lift and lower a few times. And then after a few times, I give people the option to continue to do that or add some shoulder movement, some arm movement, so that when the hips lift up, the arms lift up and overhead. And then when the hips lower down, the arms lower down. And you can do this a few times if that feels good for your shoulders. Noticing the sensation that you feel when you do this back and forth. The next step would be to continue with either of those two options or to put something underneath the pelvis, underneath the hips, lifting up and staying there for a few breaths. We will often do this in my slow stretch class on Sunday afternoons right now. And the key here is to have it under your hips, under your pelvis, but let your low back hang off. So I don't want the block up here. First of all, that doesn't feel as good, chances are. And secondly, you're not getting the back bend that we're looking for if your low back, that curve in your low back, is under or is being supported by something. We want the pelvis, the hips to be supported, but the low back to kind of hang off there. What you put underneath is completely up to you. If you're not used to taking your spine this way, a block may be way, way too much. You might have the thinnest folded blanket underneath. You might have a rolled up mat, or you might have nothing at all. Again, it has to feel good for your back. So those are the different options that I usually offer for my students when they take the back bend called bridge pose. I would love for you to give this a try with me in a private session or in one of my online classes. So please reach out and contact me and I will help you get all signed up.